Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Digital Weather Desk powered by Century Next Bank. What's next for you? Visit cnext.bank for more. The exclusive banking partner of the Digital Weather Desk. Happy Monday. As we go through this week, the forecast will continue to focus more and more on the rain or the lack thereof across the region. I know that we've dealt with an increased fire risk through the this past weekend, and we will continue to deal with it to a certain degree today. Now, in all fairness, the fire weather risk is usually something that a lot of us don't pay too much attention to because it's usually not a big problem in our area. But when it does become a problem, it's usually during the summertime or late summer, early fall months. It's usually not late winter, early spring that we deal with these types of problems. So I just want to kind of draw attention to it as we go through the day and really through the rest of the week. And really, to be honest with you, until we get some appreciable rainfall across the region. Today's forecast made possible by ServPro, Monroe West, Monroe faster any size disaster. Call or click servpro.com for more. Visible satellite shows nothing across our area. We did have a few high clouds trying to traipse into the region earlier this morning, but other than that, it's been a beautiful start. It is chilly, and it is dry, and it is breezy, but in terms of sky conditions, couldn't really ask for better ways to start the work week. Your radar made possible by Brown's Roofing shows nothing in our area, but boy, is it continuing to come down across portions of the Northeast. The stronger, heavier snow rates have really shifted into coastal sections of Massachusetts and into portions of New Hampshire and Maine now, but we also have already continued to see the snow, and some of that heavy at times from Manhattan southward down the Jersey coast and the Jersey Shore, if you will. But a lot of those snowfall rates have started to slack off a little bit. Again, the heavier banding really through the mid to late morning hours has been across the eastern sections of Massachusetts through Cape Cod and Nantucket and a lot of those areas. But as you stretch into the Northeast, farther into the Northeast, up the northeastern coastline, still expecting some pretty heavy snow banding across portions of the Maine coastline. And just generally speaking, it is quite impressive to see a nor'easter like this unfold across areas that really haven't seen these types of snowfall rates in quite some time. Check of some of the snow totals that they've seen over the last 48 hours in some of these areas, and many spots are well over a foot to 18 inches to 2 feet of snow in some spots as well. Obviously, the locally higher amounts are the most notable and something that will probably be talked about for quite a while with this particular system. But quite a bit of snowfall just across that entire region. Jane says, what part of the sky will the planets align? That is a good question. I am not a big space nerd, so unless, and I know that's a thing that's going on, I haven't really looked at it, but I would have to Google that later. Again, I'm still trying to figure out what's going on here on planet Earth. I don't stray as far into space as some folks, as some scientists would typically do. Been really focused this morning on the drought conditions and the lack of rain thereof. Temperatures across the area low to mid 40s, upper 40s to near 50 degrees as you move farther southwestward. And as we set the stage, if you have some sky watching, some planetary things that you want to bust out the telescope and go do some of that kind of stuff tonight, it's optimal conditions for that stuff. It'll be chilly, but it'll be clear. So again, if stargazing is your type of thing, by all means, the sky conditions will be optimal, but temperatures will fall quickly tonight, and a lot of us will drop back below freezing. Again, temperatures vary anywhere from the low 40s to the low 50s, cooler to the northeast, warmer to the southwest. Temperature change over the last 24 hours. Most of us are running a good 3 to 8 degrees cooler than we were at this point yesterday. It was chilly yesterday, but even cooler today. And it is a very dry atmosphere across the region. And that, again, leads to the concerns with fire weather risks and all that kind of stuff. Dry ground, dry air, fairly strong, breezy, dry winds all fuel the potential that if a grass fire develops, that it could get out of hand. And we also want to draw attention to that type of stuff as you take a look at wind speeds. And again, they're not crazy strong, but they are breezy at times and perhaps a little gusty. But I just want to draw that kind of attention because we have a lot of folks especially once you get outside city limits that are burning a lot of the vegetation from the ice storm. Totally fine. Just be mindful of that stuff. And today may be a day you want to skip. Humidity values start climbing as early as tomorrow, but they really ramp up midweek. Wednesday, Thursday, the humidity values are higher. It'll still be breezy, and we're not really going to deal with a lot of rainfall, but it would be more optimal conditions than what we're dealing with currently. Look at the fire alerts across the region. Again, a fire weather warning is in place for just the Mississippi Valley and the lower Mississippi Valley. This is more of a southeastern Louisiana and southern Mississippi problem, but Catahoula, Concordia Parish, Adams County, Claiborne County. So again, most of these locations, Jefferson County, most of these locations, even up the Mississippi Valley as you move toward Claiborne County, Warren County, Tensas Parish, Madison Parish, most of these areas are starting to improve a little bit, but it's the more severe drought conditions in the southern counties and parishes that have that bigger problem of grassland fire risks and all those types of things as we go through the day. A day planner made possible by the Monroe Chamber of Commerce and Leaders of Change. Learn more at monroe.org. Again, dry, breezy, cool. Highs only in the low to mid-50s today, and then we fall off pretty quickly tonight. Futurecast made possible by Bayou Power Sports shows high pressure settles in really in our area just after midnight tonight. Why is that important? When high pressure sets in over your area, it usually allows for light to calm winds, clear skies, and what we call optimal radiational cooling conditions. Essentially, all of the sun's energy that we've absorbed through the Earth's surface through the course of the day, all of that energy radiates back into the atmosphere. And if you don't have anything like winds keeping it close to the surface or cloud cover keeping it close to the surface, it radiates even faster into the upper atmosphere, so temperatures at the surface cool down even more quickly. So a lot of areas tonight will drop into the 30s pretty rapidly and then drop below freezing rather rapidly. And then by midnight or so, by sunrise or so, winds are back out of the south across much of the region. So we may even start a warming trend prior to sunrise in some locations tomorrow, but it'll still be cold. And then we continue that warming trend as we head through the rest of the week, with cloud cover starting to return as early as Tuesday afternoon, but I think it's probably going to be Tuesday night, Wednesday morning before we see any appreciable cloud cover across the region. Humidity values start climbing then as well. A warm front drifts into the area and stalls. It doesn't really provide a lot of lift in the atmosphere to generate a lot of significant rainfall, but we're going to be left in this kind of stagnant pattern Wednesday into Thursday where there's going to be quite a bit of cloud cover. Winds will be breezy at times out of the south, so we're continuing to bring at least some degree of low-level moisture back in from the Gulf. Not a lot of deep layered moisture, and I'll talk more about that in just a minute. So at least near the surface, we'll have some low clouds, higher humidity values, and possibly some spotty showers as early as Wednesday afternoon. Then we bring a cold front through the area on Thursday. It'll be warm and humid enough that I wouldn't be surprised to see a few thunderstorms develop Thursday afternoon. Generally, I'm expecting it to be showers, and then maybe a few storms evolve Thursday afternoon into Thursday night. I'm not expecting much of a severe weather threat in our area. And then the winds build out of the north. We're briefly cooler for Friday, not drastically cooler, but briefly cooler, upper 60s to low 70s. And then we're back into the mid to upper 70s for the weekend. So overall, as you take a look at the upper level pattern, the more things change, the more they stay the same, right? Right now, we're continuing with this northwesterly pattern aloft. As you put things into motion, the highlight of the week in terms of storm systems is this Thursday trough of low pressure, and that's it. And that's not much. It's fairly weak, and again, the bigger guts and meat of that storm system stay to the north of us, well to the north and east. And that northwesterly pattern continues to filter some very weak storm systems without allowing for a lot of deep layered moisture return. As you have this big ridge out over the Rio Grande Valley, that's going to continue to bring a lot of dry westerlies back into play. You're never really seeing the pattern shift to a point where we're getting that deep layered subtropical moisture in a consistent way really through the early parts of next week. As I mentioned, there is this storm system that the computer models have continued to hint at that would maybe just be kind of hanging out along the Pacific coastline through much of next week. What that would mean for the next weekend, which would be the first weekend in March, we don't really know yet. Some computer models swing it through as a storm system. Some do nothing with it. In fact, the vast majority of them have done nothing with it and have just kept us dry really through the first 10 days of the month of March. Worth noting, though, in terms of total moisture, and we look at total precipitable water oftentimes in the atmosphere, and you can see it really peaks through the day on Thursday, and then we see a little bit of return moisture this weekend. But really what we're seeing is all of this moisture is confined to kind of the low and mid levels of the atmosphere. There's just not a lot of deep layered moisture. It's a lot of shallow, kind of squeegeed moisture in the environment ahead of a pretty weak cold front. Again, this week's met with another shoulder shrug, and just kind of the forecast is just meh. It's going to be warmer than normal. The biggest risk will be the fire weather risks and the increased concern for lack of rainfall. And the reason I say concern is because, again, it's very, very dry across the area. And a lot of folks continue to try to get rid of their vegetation. It just leads to that grassland and wildfire concern. Not expected to be a big prolonged issue, but just be smart with your burning. And if you can avoid it, I would suggest do so, at least for the next couple of days. But we're also lacking any kind of significant storm system that really flips the pattern to get us out of winter and into spring. Usually we have at least that one big prolonged, week of rainfall and storms that kind of sets us up, for the more springtime pattern. We've already kind of moved into spring, and we really haven't benefited from the rain and the thunderstorms yet. And that's going to exacerbate drought conditions deeper into spring. And then again, the law of averages catch up with you. At some point, we're going to get the rain. At some point, it's all going to kind of balance itself out, and you really don't want to get all of that rain at one time. Daytime highs today, mid-50s. Winds will be out of the north, 10 to 15 miles per hour. Lows tonight, upper 20s to near 30 degrees. A lot of us will drop back below freezing and spend extended periods of time below freezing. When I say extended periods of time, at least a few hours. So if you have outdoor plants or pets that just don't like the cold, bring them in. This would be the coldest night of the week widespread across the region. Trish, Mr. Greg, thanks so much for joining in. 7-day forecast made possible by 3B Hardware. This is a new forecast, completely refreshed, and the latest numbers for your area can be found at digitalweatherdesk.com and on the Digital Weather Desk app. Mid-60s for highs Tuesday, mid-70s by Wednesday, Thursday. Morning lows climbing from below freezing tomorrow morning, well above freezing for the rest of the week. A little bit of a dip this weekend behind that Thursday front, but overall daytime highs still well above normal. Morning lows, again, fluctuate more than the high temperatures do over the next 7 days. Rain chances are best on Thursday. Could see a few thunderstorms, and the best chances will be across the southeastern sections of the ArkLaMiss, which is actually good news because those are the areas that have the most severe drought conditions at this point. If anybody needs the rain the most, it's the southern counties and parishes. So I guess that's a little bit of good news in that regard. But the bigger takeaway is everybody needs rain. We all need it. And it just doesn't look to be in the cards in a significant manner over the next 7 to 10 to maybe even 14 days. Again, early March is a little bit more of a wild card. The rest of February looks flat dry. We will run into the chance for rain Thursday. Early March is still a little bit of especially as you start moving into like the 5th, 6th, 7th day of March. You get into that first weekend in March, there's the potential we could swing a storm system in. And again, March and April, you typically are just waiting for severe weather season to start. No guarantees and no signals that that's happening anytime soon. We had that one severe weather threat move through that dropped a tornado in Grant Parish on Valentine's Day, and that's really all we've seen severe weather-wise outside of the ice storm. All of that, usually you would think, hey, that's all good news. But now we're kind of going, hey, we kind of missed the thunderstorms, not from the severe weather aspect, but we need the rainfall. Weird stuff. You don't know what you got until it's gone. Thunderstorm-wise, at least. Just a big, slow, soaking, rainy system would be cool, too. But this time of year, you can't really have one without the other. Forecast is always available at digitalweatherdesk.com and on the Digital Weather Desk app, available for Apple and Android users. I'll join you a little bit later this afternoon with a look at the forecast as we set up for the rest of the week. Fish and Game forecast is out at 8 p.m. tonight, made possible by First South Farm Credit. And, yeah, that's just how the week's going to shake out. We'll keep an eye on those rain chances, and we'll keep an eye on temperatures tonight. Thanks so much for stopping by the Digital Weather Desk, powered by Century Next Bank. As always, thanks so much for being part of our community, and thanks for being part of our day. And we will check in with you later this afternoon.
The next great resource for local weather is now available.
DigitalWeatherDesk.com is your source for up-to-the-minute local weather. Add DigitalWeatherDesk.com to your favorites, download our app, and follow me on social media. The Digital Weather Desk, powered by Century Next Bank.